public meeting, preparing to live stream the meeting. This is loading. This may take just a second. Okay, it's spooling on my end, but I am seeing that it is live. Okay. We are live on YouTube. Let me see if I can admit one more committee member, please, before we call. Okay, Chairperson, we are good on my end.
Okay. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16th, 2020, a regular meeting of the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee of the City of San Angelo is scheduled for August 27th, 2020 at 12 p.m. East Mezzanine of City Hall, 72 West College Avenue.
Ryan, you can skip to item 1 if you prefer.
Okay, gotcha. I will skip to item 1, call the meeting to order and roll call and establish quorum. Mayor's representative, Dr. Schulte, are you here? SMD1.
Yes, here. Yeah,
Kit
here.
Wiley. You need to turn your camera on, Dr. Schulte.
Okay.
How do we do that?
We'll figure that out. We'll get that going.
Okay. SMD1, Caitlin Wiley.
I'm here.
SMD2, Jen Murphy.
I'm here.
SMD3, Sandra Villarreal. SMD4, Ryan Smith, here. SMD5, Kara Dunnigan. SMD6, Morgan Chegwidden. All right. All members of the council and staff should begin speaking by stating their name and their SMD position or role within the city. Let's see here. Public comment. At this time, committee members may ask staff members questions regarding public comment submitted via email. Do we have any public comment, Morgan?
We do not.
Okay. All right, on to the consent agenda. Consider approving the January 16th, 2020 Animal Shelter Advisory Committee regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I second.
A motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hands. All right, any denied? And they are approved. Under the regular agenda, discussion and possible action related to monthly shelter numbers for January 2020.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Newton. I'm going to go over the numbers for January. Okay, the numbers in January were 356 new arrivals. Did that work? Okay. 356 new arrivals. Is that better? Okay. Our live release rate was 86.70%. Our goal for January was 75%. We had 49 animals euthanized for these reasons. And if anytime y'all have any questions, go ahead and stop me and I can answer questions. We're just gonna kind of run through these pretty quick today. So those are the numbers for January. Moving on to the numbers for February.
Unless there are any questions for
Are there any
next
questions,
agenda item?
any questions on January? I'm sorry, you're cutting out, Morgan. We'll move on to February.
Numbers for February are 326 new arrivals. Our live release rate for February was 87.97%. Our goal for February was 75%, so we did pretty well that month.
Any
We
questions?
had I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We had 36 animals euthanized. Euthanized for these reasons.
Wow. Any questions on February's numbers?
No.
We'll move on to March.
March, we had 377 new arrivals. Our live release rate for this month was 90.8%, which is amazing. Our goal was 90% this month, and we were actually able to make that goal. We had 31 animals euthanized in March for these reasons.
Any questions on March's numbers? Go on to April.
In April, we had 354 new arrivals. Our live release rate for this month was 83.57%. Our goal for this month was 79%, so we met our goal for this month. In April, we euthanized 44 animals for these reasons.
So I'm seeing a lot less numbers in the cats. Have there been an increase in adoptions, or have we not had that many cats come in?
We attribute it mostly to the SNR. We've been able to release a lot of SNR cats in the past few months.
Okay.
I think back in, that was one of our success stories for January. So in January, we were able to release 62 cats to be SNR'd.
Are there any questions on April numbers? Move on to May.
Okay, in May, we had 403 new arrivals. Our live release was 80.61%. Our goal this month was 55%. So we met that goal as well. In May, we euthanized 47 animals for these reasons.
Any questions on May numbers? Do we have anything beyond May?
Okay. No, sir, those are the numbers.
Okay. Update on expanding managed intake options for stray pets.
Thank you, Ryan. Morgan Chegwin, SMD 6 and Assistant Director of Neighborhood and Family Services. I'm going to stop sharing Lindsay's screen and share my PowerPoint instead, if y'all will bear with. Okay, everyone can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. So one thing I wanted to share with the group is about a year ago, in August 2019, we adopted a policy related to, that we often call the Good Sam policy or the Good Samaritan policy. It is the managed intake of unowned pets. So these are citizens who have stepped forward and said, I found this cat and I'd like to bring it to the shelter in hopes of finding its owner or finding an adopter. This is a completely optional program, as y'all will recall, and it's had a modicum of success, but we could certainly do more with it. And so we did some research on other American Pets Alive cities to see how they manage this and how they offer this program. And I found that Austin Animal Center actually offers more than just the options we're offering for Good Sam. So this is intended to provide more flexibility for citizens who are coming into our facility and offer more support for shelter pets to encourage a live outcome for those animals. So as mentioned before, the main goal of Good Sam was to prevent the spread of disease in the shelter. As you'll recall, the original Good Samaritan policy or managed intake of stray animals policy is this champion level, the middle one, where a finder of a pet would keep the animal for 3 days. Shelter, hey, I found this cat or this dog. We say, are you interested in, you've already invested so much of your day in catching this animal, driving across town and continuing to invest in this pet's health. And so if they do opt in, as I mentioned, it's completely optional. We would go ahead and take that animal into our exam room. We would vaccinate, photograph, of course, scan for a microchip, and upload that animal to any lost and found sites, and then return the animal to the finder. Of course, this policy, as y'all recall, does require the finder to produce that animal if an owner is identified. And so that animal just has a safe place to be for 72 hours while those vaccinations take effect. We go ahead and make a case in our pet management software, so we have record of this animal, and that finder can return anytime after 72 hours to bring that pet back and say, hey, didn't connect with the owner outside of the shelter, we're ready to go ahead and bring the animal in. So once it arrives at the shelter, it does get its full stray hold again. In that first 72 hours that it's in the finder's home doesn't count as its stray hold because it's not active on our website. So that is a really, it's a great program. People who have made this investment want to do more and to help these pets. And so what I have here is even more options related to that. So there would be one more option that's even more work for the finder if they are so interested. We call that the lifesaver level. And it's where the finder would actually keep the pets for 7 days. So not only would that pet be fully inoculated after receiving its vaccines, it would also help us manage the intake at the shelter. For example, in the last 24 hours, we've taken in about 10 dogs, which filled up our intake that was previously empty because of clear the shelter and some large scale transports that just happened. And if any of those citizens had instead been willing to participate in a lifesaver level, it would have helped us kind of taper in that intake over time, which is always what we're trying to buy here, to buy time for these animals. And so that's one option, is if you're interested in going ahead and letting us run through a cursory exam, provide those vaccines, send the pet home for 7 days. That would be that lifesaver level where they could return with the pet after 7 days. Then, of course, champion level I just described. It's our normal Good Sam that we've been doing for about a year now. But the third level is also new. So I think the third level will be really attractive to a lot of people. We're calling it the advocate level. And it's where we often get people who say, you know, I would participate in Good Sam, but I live in an apartment, or I have another dog, or whatever it may be, right? And so they can't take that pet home for 3 days or 7 days, whatever it may be, but they do have a vested interest in that pet having a success story. And so for that, we would say, can you go, let us take a photo of this pet, let's print some flyers, send it home with you. You're in the field, you're in this neighborhood, could you post some, could you share the social media posts? You know, we'll have that animal live through our portal and available that way. And so can we send you home with all of that, and you continue advocating for this pet? You try to find its owner, or not try to find its owner, but share in hopes that maybe an owner or a friend sees it and says, hey, that's my buddy's dog. Or they ultimately share it on their social media and someone says, I've been looking for a cat. I think I want to adopt that cat. So I think that advocate level certainly doesn't manage the intake of the animal in the shelter, but could shorten the amount of the time that the animal is in the shelter by continuing that advocacy on capturing citizens to do even more for this pet that they've brought in. As I mentioned, I can't stress this enough, that it's completely optional. We understand that we are an open intake shelter and we take in stray pets as citizens bring them forth. But for someone who has taken the time to invest in this animal, even an hour of their day to chase it down, bring it in, whatever it may be, that is something that they may be primed to want to participate in these additional services that we want to make sure and offer at the front desk before the animal comes in. And just to clarify one other item, one of the reasons why we go ahead and make a case in Pet Point is to record that this person is not the owner of the pet, right? So if I brought a pet in today, hey, I found this dog, I come to the shelter on Thursday, August 27th, and we say, do you want, once they have their pet in that household 3 days, 7 days, you may say, well, that's bumping up against the city ordinance that says you're defined as owner after housing the animal for 3 days. But because we identified you as part of our, and have a case in Pet Point that on this day you came in and you were clearly not the owner, you could house that pet for 3 days, 7 days, whatever's appropriate, and still come in and say, oh yes, you were here a week ago. We do recall that, we do have record of that. And so they're not defined as the owner. So there's not that additional hoops they have to jump through for an intake that an owned pet has to participate in. So that's just something that is before the committee today. It doesn't necessarily need committee action because y'all have approved a policy for managed intake of unowned pets, but I did want y'all to have that heads up of this expansion that we hope will bring us additional relief to increase the live release rate.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, follow-up and administrative issues.
I have none. I know we've talked in the past about hosting a workshop for some major edits to the Code of Ordinances that is needed to go before council. But as long as we are in this new normal, trying to prevent the spread of COVID-19. I don't think that that workshop is conducive to meeting via Zoom. And so we've postponed any conversations about hosting a workshop until we are meeting in person again, and whatever timeline that might be. I do expect it to be after the first of the year. So we do have that information queued up and ready to present to y'all, but we're just waiting until we can have a more open environment for dialogue back and forth.
Anyone else have anything? And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Caitlin, are you making the motion?
Yeah, I will second your motion.
Okay. So we are adjourned.
All right.